Dayla and I are here today to talk about what's going on in the gaming space. The potentially biggest failure of all time has just occurred with Concord. There's a lot going on with DEI conversations. I'm enjoying Star Wars Outlaws, but people are very up in arms about it. So we're going to talk about what's going on in gaming. And also, you've been playing Wukong, which is the other big hot game right now. So.
Oh yeah, I think it's like a hot game that's been kind of, people saying it's been overhyped, but I think it's living up to the hype of a game that just came out of left field by this developer.
Yep.
And even though it had like some scrutiny from like game media saying it has this past of all this misogyny post and writing, and the game is lacking diversity and all this stuff, and it's kind of like
that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. All I care about is the game features. Like, I don't care if it has all of this other stuff. Like, saying that it lacks diversity is a bad thing and the game shouldn't be bought. If you want to point it out and say, hey, it lacks diversity, if you're looking for, an experience with these types of characters, it doesn't have that. Like, that's fair to point out. Like, just talk about the feature. But to put it as like a con,
especially for a game that's based on Chinese mythology, made by a Chinese developer, that you play as monkeys. You play as a monkey.
It's like actual animals the whole time, and they're like, doesn't have women.
But here's the thing. It's if you know anything about Journey to the West, Wukong, it's been around since before me and you were born. Yeah, and like it's like ancient Chinese mythology, and there is women in it, and they're all spiders.
Huh.
They're spiders.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. The whole story, like, with these women are like, it's fascinating to me. Like, the whole insects, like, of these women, like, how they try to seduce men, and they capture them, and it's like, marry them, mate with them, and kill them. And I was like, what the hell?
Oh, so they're like sirens.
So, exactly.
It's a similar.
So they are human characters, kind of, because the animals take on a human form to look like the gods and deities. So you see some of them, they look like a beautiful man, a beautiful woman. And then next thing you know, they transform and they're a pig person or a spider person or a fish. That's the demon form, but the human form is something beautiful. So the inclusion, I'm like, it has women, and it's not like these women are damsel in distress. They're like, we want this guy because you want to marry him, and then we're gonna mate with him and then kill him after.
Yeah, and even if it's not portraying women in any sort of modern light, like, it doesn't matter. It's mythology, like,
exactly.
There's a validity to the old stories too, but you can relate to people who aren't necessarily looking like you either. And so there's this like, yes, I'd love to see people that reflect me, but it doesn't need to be every single game. If you're in a minority group and you want to be involved, right, and you want to feel reflected, you're still not going to be the majority. And so you've got to think about, like, for the sales, for the people who are thinking about sales, like, obviously that's not going to be a huge factor in, like, what's going to be the biggest game necessarily, right? And so you can't just focus on, like, well, you can say, we made this game for these people, please enjoy this game, right? But a lot of places say, no, everybody needs to enjoy this game. And so people feel like it's being forced down their throats.
I feel like when we start saying, like, we want to see ourselves represented in games, it went from, like, for me, gaming, as long as I have, and watching movies and stuff, when I saw myself represented in characters, it wasn't because of, like, the skin color or, like, they necessarily look like me. It's because they kind of match the same values I had.
Yes.
And stuff.
Yes.
Now it became, we want to see more characters look like me by color in video games, because there's this trope that it's never been done. I'm like, well, have you ever played, like, Shadow Man? The games, like, there's movies like Spawn, Blade, and like, there's so many movies that we had in games that they had black characters that weren't always a side character. And it's like, what more do you want? Oh, well, women. Well, we had Samus for the longest. Samus is, like, the oldest female character that's been around. Ripley from Alien. Then you had Lara Croft from Tomb Raider.
Yep.
These are women that, well, like, besides Sarah Connor, she went from a damsel in distress to a freaking I'm the badass.
Yeah.
And Lara Croft has always just been a badass.
And there's, like, Miss Pac-Man. I mean, there's all, you know what I mean? Like, through all of the games, like, you can go back and, sometimes we were damsels in distress, like Peach, in Mario. But, like, at the same time, like you said, it doesn't have to be someone who looks exactly like you for you to relate. And that's the power of gaming, is, like, if you are doing it right and you're putting good games together, and then you happen to put in, oh, it's a female character, or it's a black character, or it's representative of some group, it doesn't have to be the story of like, I'm a woman, like here's my story, or like for LGBTQ, it doesn't have to be like the coming out story. No, like that's not what people are looking for necessarily. They just want to be involved.
But what we're looking for, what like the modern like I don't even want to call them modern gamers, because it's like a slap in the face to modern gamers.
Yeah.
It's like this minority group who feels like, if I say this and I get this done, I win.
It's not at all. It's not at all. Like, I actually didn't like Gone Home, for instance, which was a game that basically, it felt like mysterious. Her whole family's gone. And she's like, where is my family? They didn't pick me up from the airport. I've got to solve the mystery of why my parents aren't home when I just got home from like traveling abroad for a year. And it turns out to be like her sister's coming out story, basically. And I didn't like it because it felt shoehorned in to basically tell a gay story rather than like like having that be part of a greater story. Like, to just make that the focus of the story. If you want to tell that story, go for it, but like market it that way. It just felt like a gotcha. It's like trying to sneak things in, and then they do feel like they're getting propaganda, and I think that's fair.
I feel like we're missing that in a lot of the media now. And it's funny because like when that new guy took over Disney, he was just like, we lost the point of making movies and telling stories. Instead, we're just telling messages. Like, I don't want to play a video game and get hit with message after message after message. I've been black for X amount of years. I'm not going to reveal my age. Screw you guys. I'm not over 40. That's all you need to know. And
we're both old enough to have played the black and white Game Boy. That's all you guys need to know.
I don't want to hear about struggles of a black man. I'm tired of it. Like, I know it. Please stop. Oh, it's for the younger generation. Stop it. Oh, the struggles of being a woman. I am a woman. Okay, what, like,
how much can we beat it down? Yeah.
Like, you being a female, like, I know being in gaming is fucking, it's not easy.
And luckily, I'm not a multiplayer girl for the most part. And if I do, I just play with my friends. I would never get online, these days and try to play. And even back then, when I did, it was just, it's silly. I knew what I was getting into, and I just kind of, that's the thing too, is a lot of people like want to change things for themselves, and they make it all about them. And it's like, well, this isn't right. And it's like, well, that has technically been their space forever. And like, yes, when we've tried to get in, we just can't. And that's just part of it. And like, no, it's not right, but it just is. And so you can either try to find the people who want to hang out with you online and do that, or you can just make your own thing. And I think that making your own spaces sometimes is valid. Like, I just play with my community if I want to do online games. I'm not trying to get into spaces with other people that don't want me there,
Yeah, but when you say, but the thing is, like, see that when you say make me your own space, a lot of people go, I'm going to make my own space. This is just going to be my space. This game is my space and my space. You have this weird slippery slope of people saying like, this is our space in this particular game. Overwatch, when it first came out, it was just like, here are the characters, here's this silly story, go with it. Then it came out, it was like, we need gay characters. I was like, do you really need gay characters? Like, does the character's sexuality matter in a game where the characters are already diverse?
When I see gay characters and it works, like that's a really exciting thing. Like with like I think it worked for Last of Us 2, and I know a lot of people hated that game because they didn't like some of the storytelling in it. But like generally, that had nothing to do with the story itself. Like it was just it was just the character.
Small part of it.
Yeah, it was just that's the character. Okay. Moving on. Like it wasn't a whole plot element really, like it didn't, there was no coming out. It was just there. It doesn't even need to be in a game for the game to be good. Had they not done that, the game's still great. But yes, that was a cool element for those who haven't seen themselves reflected in a game very often, especially a really good cinematic AAA game like that. That's a neat experience, but it also isn't needed for the game to be good.
Overwatch also started coming out with like, oh, we need to fans were like, oh, we need to confirm that Symmetra is autistic. I was like, what does that have to do with the gameplay?
Yeah.
What does her having autism have to do with the gameplay? What is like certain people's like disabilities have to do with the gameplay? Like,
I think there's this like prevalent need for feeling represented everywhere in like the main stream culture all the time, and I just don't think that that's necessary. Like, I do think that you can tell that story and that message if you want to create a game that like sends a message about autism, ADHD, everything else in like that has a spectrum that we can talk about, and mental health and all of that. Like, you could make a really cool game that goes over that. You could make a really meaningful game that I think would touch a lot of people. You know, there's a few of those like more indie games that like go into these like more niche topics and do really beautiful things. Do I think it needs to be the biggest cinematic AAA game? No, because these are literal mass market appeal, and you're going into a niche topic that people don't care about on a mass market, you know?
Yeah, Hellblade was a game that talked about mental illness. Because that game is actually studied in some psychology classes, like, because that game you're dealing with a lot of is it schizophrenia and something else? Because like she sees things that's not there, so that whole game goes into like mental issues and stuff.
So that's a good example of one that does it right. It's not that it's wrong to include
and it wasn't
things.
a selling point. Yeah, it wasn't like this game is about mental health.
That's the thing is like, when you make it a selling point. It's like, and you can make it a selling point to the, like that will appeal to a certain audience. And then people aren't going to get mad because you've been upfront and honest about it. And there might be people who get mad who just want to hate on everything that isn't for them. There's still going to be those people. Like saw this graphic yesterday, someone threw at me that they're like anti any game that has like these little components in it. And they're basically living in a cult of gaming because they're not going to make the decision for themselves.
Perfect example of like games that did it right. You ever played Final Fantasy 13? Final Fantasy 13 was female lead character, Lightning, had a black supporting character, the guy with the fro who held a chocobo in his hair, and they had these two female characters. You later find out in the game, like, these two female characters are lovers, right? Is it a selling point of the game? No.
It's just there.
What was the selling point of the game? It was Final Fantasy 13. It was a Final Fantasy game. At the end, spoiler alert, these two lesbians saved the world.
Yeah.
The power of love saved the world. And it was like,
and nobody really complains, I assume, because it was just there.
Complained. The game was a great game.
Yeah.
But when again people sit there and go, "Oh, we are represented." You had a whole game where the power of love between these two women saved the whole freaking planet.
Dang. Yeah.
So when games do it the right way, it works. But if I was part of the LGBTQ community and I had a game where they made my characters look stupid and idiotic and all this stuff, I'll be upset. Like,
and that's the thing. Works is also like a relative statement as well, because there's still going to be the people on the other side who are very angry because it includes it at all, and that's always going to be no matter what. Then you've got the people who just want a good game and they don't care, just they don't want to feel preached at, and that's fair. And then you've got people like me who are kind of more on the other side of the spectrum, who I don't even care if I'm being preached at as long as the game is good. I'm still going to maybe call it out, like with Gone Home, like I didn't like it. It just felt weird and it like took away from what the game could have been. So I'm kind of on this side. And then there's the people who only want the games that feel like they're preaching their message. And so there's like this whole spectrum of people where it works is kind of a different thing. But then you can talk about the money side and say, well, what succeeds? But that also doesn't mean it's bad art. It just means, it monetarily succeeded. So there's just a lot of different variables there, I think.
So when you talk about preaching, like freaking Dustborn, Dustborn feels like it was like the Bible.
It's interesting. I watched this one person who posted a bunch of clips of them playing, and it feels like there was an idea there. Like, you can use triggering people as a weapon, which like there could have been an interesting message there where it's like, yeah, you're showing off the manipulation tactics that people use. And like there could have been something cool there, but I think they went the route of like, that's a good thing, it seems like. So it just feels like it was the wrong direction. Yeah. Canceling, that's kind of cool. Like in terms of that could have been a really neat game if it were done from the perspective of like, don't do this stuff. But it seems like they're saying it's a good thing. So I think that's where it like missed the mark.
It was like the clips I seen from the game, I was like, no way this is like a real thing. And like I was like, she gets triggered, like you're a racist. Like I didn't see anything racist. He just said the kid you're with, he's black.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a description. That's a description. Like, oh, the kid you're with, which kid? The black, you're a racist. Like, what the fuck you want me to say?
Yeah. And the thing is, and I posted this morning, and I think you saw it, any game is art, right? All games are art and somebody loves it. And so somebody loves that game, you know? And so that game is valid to exist for that person or small group of people that like the game. And that's the thing. It's not offending or affecting me for it to exist. Is it silly? And I'm going to laugh at it a bit. Yeah. Could it have been something cool if done a little bit differently for more people? Yeah. But is it cool for maybe like 3 people right now? Yes. And that it's laughable as it is that it's a tiny group. It's still valid to someone, you know, they tried to communicate something and they maybe didn't communicate it very effectively, but to the people who got their vision, like, they're like, yeah, I think this is fun. And that's fair. Who are we to say differently? Even if it was a flop in terms of obviously money, it's valid art. And I think we lose that idea when we're talking about gaming, is people just think, oh, that's not valid art, but all out art is valid art. And we can look at it as art, even if we don't like it, you know?
Yeah, but why did that game fail? Because I remember at PAX Northeast, East, I saw the booth for it. I saw the booth, I was like, Dustborn. When I saw the characters, I was like, this game looks dog shit. Like,
yep.
Carl, say what you want about me. I'm pretty sure there's people out there that look at the game and look at its characters and design and go, this is dog shit, and it's a stupid dog shit game.
Yeah.
I saw the booth. It didn't look like it had that many people. They kind of like used the models out there to try to bring people in to play it. And I was like, this game is definitely not for me. I won't play it. Or I'm not even going to try it. I don't care about this game. So then when the game came out, I didn't even know the game came out. The game came out and it was just a massive fail. Like from the start, like then it lost all this money. It's like, so why is this game that was being promoted and is supposedly for the LGBTQ community or the future of gaming, why did it fail so bad like this? Especially also the game Concord. Why did these 2 games fail the way it did? So, Dustborn, why do you think that game failed the way it is? Made by a studio who made like the game Control. Was it Control? No. Was it Gravity? They made another game.
I don't know.
Like
they made something that people liked, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was this? Like,
yeah.
Who sat there in this room and was like, we're going to make a game about XYZ ABC to target the XYZ ABC
And there is
group?
an audience for it. And I think had they done it in a meaningful way, I even could have been the audience for that. Like if they done it where it was like this interesting message about, because I hate the manipulation tactics I see. I see it on every side that exists. I know you do too. Like I've just been dealing with it forever. And it's something that I'm very, very, very familiar with. And so that could have been a game that attracted me, is to say, oh, they're like showing you what the manipulation tactics are and they're teaching you that through gameplay. That's really interesting. And they are technically doing that, but they're doing it in a way that feels weird and preachy and like uncomfortable,
because
because
it feels like it's a good thing.
Yeah, they're doing it from the wrong side, the side that like I don't even think they agree with. And so I think they had an idea and they just didn't communicate it effectively. And because it's not like they have to, like, I can't imagine that they think those things are good. Maybe they do, and maybe that's the message that they went for, and we just fundamentally disagree. Like most people fundamentally disagree with triggering people to be a good thing. But maybe the people who made it did. I doubt it. I don't, like, I would think that probably they were trying to suggest that it's a bad thing, but they just did it in a way that didn't work. And maybe like the storytelling just didn't hit, the writing just didn't quite get there for communicating that effectively. And so it's not, I don't think they're trying to push like, oh, you should trigger people, that's a good thing. That would be a pretty silly thing to push. Maybe they are, and that's valid for them, even if it's a message that most of us don't agree with. But I think probably they were trying to push, hey, these things are bad, and they just didn't do that well. And I think that that's okay. You know, people make mistakes, it happens, and I don't think it's like this evil thing that people are thinking it is. I don't think any game like has this evil purpose. Most people have a motivation for what they're trying to do. Nothing is like pure evil most of the time when you're communicating. It's just people's ideas that they're trying to get out there, and you can take it or leave it or filter it however you want. And so I think people are taking it too personally, like they think it's like an offense for them. You know, it's just somebody's art. You know,
I think maybe you're 100% right, and you should probably fucking work for that company, because the way you explained it would have probably sold the game. Like if you sat there and said, this game features things like triggering and canceling. Now, as we know, this is major in the in the culture right now, triggering people and cancel people. So you could see yourself as the good guy, the bad guy. Are you easily triggered by things like that, or is you gonna let that happen?
Yeah.
But I feel like in the game, that's the only option. You don't get to pick to be triggered or speak.
Yeah.
It's just straight. You're triggered. After there's a week, like you're easily triggered. Like give me options to be triggered or not.
Yep.
If I feel if that option was in it, go like trigger or confront reasonably, you'd be fine. So you could start building on communication skills when things don't go your way. Cancel culture. Canceling is they say it's a way to isolate and remove people from groups.
Yes.
It's like, well, do you really know what being canceled is? Because when you're canceled, you're not isolated and removed from a group. You're pretty much, it's a death sentence.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't work very well. Most people come out of it fine these days, because it's happened so long in our culture now that it doesn't really work as well anymore. But it is a manipulation tactic that has some effect no matter what,
If they give you the option, if they gave you like a negative effect, like using canceling can affect you if the accusations are invalid.
Yeah.
Kind of give me, like, I have these tools, these manipulation tools, but if I use them, it affects my character in the end. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And they could have so easily told a good story and given us a good game with that so easily, because I think a lot of people would have related to that. If you could fight cancel culture in a game, I think people would like that. But instead they made it like, oh, you can use cancel culture as a weapon. People are like, I don't want to do that. While I respect that it's art and somebody's art, I just don't think it's very good for most people. I don't think it's a message any of us want to really have.
And it kind of had another double-edged sword to it, because it's like you're playing as a black woman.
Yeah.
It makes even
multiple
more
groups look bad.
Black women are easily triggered. Like, black people have no backbone. Like, I'm tired of this whole thing where people make black people look like the weakest people in the world. Like, oh, they can't take criticism, we gotta get triggered. They can't do this, they get so angry. It's like, no. And it's the same thing as for women. Oh, you can't speak to women because they're so easily offended and all that stuff. It's like,
it's just perpetuating that more.
Yeah, do I really want to play a game where I look like a fucking weakling and an asshole and the villain at the end? Like,
yeah. It makes you wonder if it really was some sort of opposite agenda to make people look bad,
Yeah, I'm like, I have no problem with being a villain, a black villain or a female villain, but when you make it look so silly, it's just like, God,
at least make me a good villain,
Exactly. Make me look like I have some type of fucking motive, like I'm doing this for the greater good in some way, in my head. But it's a fight. I don't even know. The game is. I feel like we both have to sit there and play this game, and maybe there's a message there that we're meeting.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could get through 5 minutes of a game where it's just talking, and I'm just I can't.
Yeah. Just watching the clips was rough. That one girl who played it for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, who I don't know your name.
I can't remember her name, but
you did it. Oh my God, I seen some other people play it. I saw a controversial person, Melanie Mack. She was playing it. She just looked like she was just like, what is this?
And the thing is, when people are coming at it from that level of extreme too, you're not going to get as much fun from it. I like it when people are more just, okay, let me give it a chance. Let's see how bad it really is. And then looking at it from a real analytical perspective. When people are coming at it with an agenda, it's just less fun, to hear what they say.
I get what you're saying.
She's still going to say some stuff that you agree with or disagree with, no matter who you are, even though people are going to be like, no, I would never listen to someone on the other extreme and believe anything they say. You're gonna be able to I truly think that you can be friends with anyone. You just have to find, not good friends necessarily, but I think that people can be friends with anyone because we can all connect on something. We all have more similarities than we do differences.
That is a hot take right now, and
that's my take.
That's a very hot take. You can't be friends with people who are, dare I say, Republican. You can't be friends with people like
canceled.
That. You can't.
Canceled.
You can't.
My goodness.
You can't be friends with people like me. A man?
A man? How dare?
In 2024? How dare you?
No.
We can't be friends because you're a woman?
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Can't.
God forbid.
But that game failed because who knows? Bad writing, mechanics that seem like is just negative mechanics that seem beneficial.
Yep.
And so, but what about Concord? Concord on paper You know what Concord feels like to me when I saw the clips of it? Timu Guardians of the Galaxy.
I can see it. I can see it. It does. It feels like it just didn't have anything special, you know, like, and that's the problem. Every single day that video games that we have life, right? But that video games come out, there's more and more competition. It's just how it is. There's only ever going to be more games, and the live service space now has more competition than ever, and people are already pretty happy with their games. There are people who want more innovation in it, but if the innovation is, oh well, we put gay people in the game, I don't think that's what they were looking for.
That's the selling point.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's how you make people buy a game. Look,
like, what?
There's a gay character. Buy this game.
Like,
this is what you want.
There is a small group that wants that, but it's a small group. Like, if you're going to make a game with that much money involved, you've got to give them innovation in the actual gameplay. You can't just like say, well, we included a couple minority groups. Here you go. Like, that's
we got a gay guy. We got a gay alien. Everybody likes aliens.
Yeah.
You guys all want to bang aliens.
Yeah.
We got a big body guy. Representation. We got a black woman. We got 2 black women.
Yeah.
And we got a cool alien dude who looks like Star-Lord.
And the thing is that, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that is going to be good for a lot of people where they're like, yeah, I see myself represented. But to make that the selling point, if it's online at all, right, you're going to have a problem because Concord's online. Because if there's not enough people, then it's never going to take off, right? Like, it requires people. And
I heard it takes like 8 minutes to find a fucking match in the game.
Yeah, and so that can really fail. It's different than kind of what I was talking about this morning with the solo like player games. If you have a multiplayer game, it legitimately can fail, and then nobody likes it because they can't ever get in a match.
When I heard of Concord, I was like, I don't know what this game is, and then there was like, it's a MOBA. What is it? It's a MOBA shooter. I was like, oh, so it's another. I'm tired of those. I'm over those.
Yeah.
But when the game dropped, like every controversy I heard about it, I was like, the character designs look atrocious. Like, I get you were going for like kind of hyper realism, and then I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm just being too critical. Like, hyper realism. I was like, okay, whatever. Then I started hearing some of the character voices, and I was like, God, I hate these character voices. Then I see the gameplay, and I was like, this gameplay seems kind of weird. Then it just got more controversies, like, oh, this alien is a they them. I was like, okay. Then it was like, feel like certain things like with the characters, like, honestly, I'm asking you, does that matter to you? Like, if you look at that character and that character has pronouns or like certain characteristics, does that matter to you?
For me personally, I don't care about that stuff. I just want a fun game. Like, yeah, that's cool for the people who want it. It's not cool for the people who don't. Do I care personally? It does not affect my gameplay. It is like the smallest detail in a sea of details that will make a good game. You know, it's like in prioritization of things that I care about in a game, I could not care less about that, if that makes sense.
How dare you? You are supposed to be on the side of saying yes, because I'm a female gamer and I.
Yep, it's great for inclusion, but I don't think that inclusion is my number one goal in a game. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's neat if I see myself reflected in a game as a woman. Cool. It's not the reason that I'm going to buy a game. It's just...
You didn't buy Tomb Raider because it was just a woman?
Oh, yeah, that's it. It wasn't because there was phenomenal platforming in a franchise that has been going for over 20 years. And yeah, it was definitely just because she was a woman.
I'll tell you why I bought Tomb Raider when I was younger. Boobs.
There is something to be said about that whole conversation, right? Sexualizing characters in games, and I think that's why there's an uproar as well for some games like Star Wars, where people are like, oh, they're trying to make women unattractive, and they're just trying to like permeate our brains with these ideas. And I think there's something to be said for, yeah, desexualize a woman. Why not? Because we just exist. I mean, I wear t-shirts every day. I'm not trying to, you know what I mean? Like, we just exist.
You're not trying to pick up anybody.
Yeah, not trying to pick up anybody by playing games online. And so it's this like, I understand where they're going with trying to desexualize, because that's not what a woman is. She's not a sexual object. She just exists, you know?
But here's the thing. So you could desexualize a character down to a fucking nun.
Yeah.
There's going to be people who cosplayers will sexualize it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen cosplayers sexualize a fucking lamp and a moth and xenomorphs now. So people are going to sexualize things. But the thing is that when you talk about sexualization, like, I'm sorry we're going off tangent with this.
Yeah.
But like, they blame men. They go straight after men for it. They go, men are the reason because of this, and this. No one includes the gay women who like looking at other women.
Yeah.
They never include those women.
And to be
Never.
fair, I think a lot are probably like it's a smaller group and probably less loud, but like nonetheless, you know what I mean?
Dude, there's a whole fucking like when that whole thing happened between what was that game? The Chinese game with the girl and child. The one with the boobs and ass. With the sword.
Stellar
like
Blade?
Devil May Cry. Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
There was a whole group of women playing that, and they were like hot and bothered. And
Oh, I missed
like,
that. Okay.
Yeah, there's like a whole group, and like they get left out. So it's very annoying that they just go, men are the reason women are sexualized in video games.
When they really should say it's more of that like over sexualized culture, or just like maybe it's not a problem at all. And it's like, let people have those games and have their over sexualized games, but also have the games that don't make people sexual objects. Like if people want to communicate that, that's their prerogative. Like that, I'm not going to get mad about that. And I think a lot of women do, you know, there are women who hate that other women on the platform are doing something, you know, else in the kind of like sexual side. Like I understand that can be backwards because they want to kind of show the other side. But I think that there's room for everyone. You know what I mean? Like let people have that side if they want it. Do I think that that's important for video games most of the time? For most of us, not so much. But if somebody wants something nice to look at while they're playing a game, I'm not going to like, you know, tell them differently. But I also think that if people hate a game because a girl doesn't look good, I think that that's a wild reason to not like a game.
Listen, I'm sorry. They did a character rendering on your face, right?
Yeah.
They did. There was like, they said, Matt, you're going to be in the game. Here's how you look. And you just look like a fucking monstrosity.
Yeah, I would be upset. I would be upset.
Would you be upset?
I would be very upset. Now, do I think that the actual character model when I'm playing the game looks like the bad angles that they have everywhere online? No. Most of the time, you do not see what you're like. I don't know if it was just bad renderings that they grabbed from like the earlier game, but she doesn't look like that in the game for the most part. There's a whole argument, you know, beauty subjective. And do I think she looks like the character model or the actual literal person that she's modeled after? No. They clearly changed her, and nobody really knows why. I think there's something to be said for they are, you know, trying to go that route of like making women less attractive in video games. Like I think that's a valid conversation, but I also don't think it matters, you know.
But when you talk about that, if you go back, going back to Concord, one of the designers came out and said, "This is how the woman is supposed to look. Here was the model. Here's what the woman was supposed to be based off of." And it showed this very attractive woman. There was this woman, she was very attractive, black female, smoking. Then when they showed the actual character model, it looked like she didn't look at all like how she was supposed to look. She was just like a completely different character. It's like they took you and then they put freaking, I don't know, me.
Yeah, you've got to wonder why. Like I get the concept that they're going for, like at the beginning of saying, okay, well, let's just desexualize. But I think that they've taken it to this point where they're just not making them look like people anymore. You know, like people don't look like that. I don't think that that's true for Outlaws personally. Like, again, I don't think she looks bad at all when I'm playing the game, nor am I really looking at her. Like, unless I'm in photo mode and I'm still taking pictures of the little dude, I'm really not focused on her.
Oh, you're not even paying attention to the girl. You're paying attention to the little.
Just like the little dude, Nix. He's just like a little cat dog.
What's the species?
He's just a little alien Star Wars species that they made up.
You gotta know the species if you play Star Wars games.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm
get you.
a fake fan. You know, he's just cute. He's just a cute little cat dog dude. You know, he just runs around and helps you with stuff, and he's your little buddy.
So like going back to Concord. So the game is budgeted to lose 100,000. Is it 100,000 more?
100 million, maybe. It's a lot of money.
$100 million is being lost in that game right now. $100 million for Sony. That's a Sony studio game. That was like the Helldivers. Like whatever money they made from Helldivers, this fucking went away now. With that being said, do you think now, and also not just this doesn't just happen with Sony, it also happened with DC with the Justice League Kill the Suicide Squad, because that game came out, everybody was like, oh, this game's gonna be great. Then they said, here's all the stuff nobody likes. It's just in shoehorn the game. Mr. Freeze is no longer Mr. It's Mrs. Here's an ugly ass skin for her with the rainbow flag. Listen, again, LGBT community, you guys need to fucking get up in arms and really pissed off because they make you guys look like a bunch of freaking, I don't know, like you put on colorful clothing, look horrible. But I know gay people who fucking dress way better than I do. And they have a small flag with them somewhere, but they make they make these skins look atrocious, ugly. They should learn something from Overwatch, because you see the Overwatch skins they have when they represent.
I know gays that hate rainbow colors. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like they don't want to dress in a million colors. Like it's very like stereotyping, you know?
Yeah. So now I really hope these companies are starting to see that, like, you're trying to grab this audience because this audience is screaming the loudest.
Yep.
But the thing is, when they scream the loudest, they don't buy your game or watch your products. Star Wars Acolyte, they supposedly had a huge gay audience, right?
Yep.
The show failed.
And the thing is, we're
Concord.
talking about minority groups, and I think people don't
Yes.
realize what that means. If you're a minority group, you are the minority. So
Exactly.
if you were spending money like you were going to reach the masses for something that has a minority interest, your target audience is smaller. It doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't mean you shouldn't create for them, but it does mean you should be mindful of how many people are actually going to be interested and how much money you should invest in it. And if a show does really well, after you've hit your target audience and there's people starting to get interested outside of that target audience, you can expand the budget and you can expand all this. And you have to start on that smaller scale, or do it like you were saying with what was that game you mentioned earlier that had the story about mental health?
Hellblade.
Yeah. So if you do it in a way that is appealing to others, because you're not like trying to preach at them, you're just, hey, this is part of the story, you know, that is fine for people. It's just, I understand why people are mad about being preached at, but for me personally, I just don't care. And I think that when people focus on it too much, they're like missing the point.
Hard not to focus on it.
I just don't listen to those conversations. I don't look at it. I just say, hey, what features does the game have? So does it have gameplay that's innovative? Does it have specifically combat, traversal, stealth? I like all of those things. If it has those cool factors, and like, for instance, Star Wars has the reputation system, so I was excited about that. I like the old 1996 Tomb Raider because the platforming is crazy and there's puzzles and you're having to do movement puzzles, and it doesn't have any player guidance. I want more games without player guidance, you know, and they've made too much player guidance for the same reason that they've done DEI and everything else, which is like more money. They want to expand the audience for money. And so it's like all of this, it always boils down to money, and they're trying to basically rage bait everyone. It's not that they, like, the people who are pushing DEI are not doing it out of the good of their hearts for minority groups. That's not how that works, and it doesn't even work most of the time in the way that they intend. It just generally rage baits people. And so you've got people who are like, yeah, this is our push. This is our message. We must push this. And then you've got the people who are like, I feel preached at, and they're all fighting. And then there's somebody over here making money off of both groups. And people forget that, and they're just playing into the game. I just say the only way that I don't play into the game is to say I do not care and to buy whatever game has the cool features that I'm looking for.
I agree with that. Like, that's a good selling point for a lot of games. I mean, it just seems now that everybody just wants to target that minority group, because for some reason they feel that minority group has like the most money to spend and they're like big. And I really feel like a lot of these companies go say like, okay, we're gonna hire these gaming companies, DEI companies, Sweet Baby Inc., and say, because they know they're the minority group, they know the market, there's money there, and in this group there's more money. But when you target that group alone, you isolate and alienate another group, the group who will actually care about gaming. And like you said, you want the cool features and everything. But when you don't talk about the cool features, you just talk about, oh, this character is gay, this character is black, this character has is disabled, this character is like, okay, tell me about the game features. Like, and they just leave that out. Like, then you get into the game, the story is ass shit.
That's why, like, for me, Star Wars isn't this thing that's like, oh, some DEI agenda, right? Like, it just has cool features I've never seen in a game and I'm excited about it, right? But like, for instance, Concord, I have no interest in. Now, I'm a casual to that space anyway. Like, I like, you know, I'll play Fortnite or Call of Duty sometimes. Like, I'm a filthy casual in that area. But
stay away from it.
like, nonetheless, I haven't heard anything about a unique feature in Concord.
These game companies and even movie studios, directors, developers, and everybody, they attack their audience. The minute you say things like, this movie isn't for you, this game isn't for you, you don't like it, don't buy it, whatever, they go, no problem, fine, we won't buy your game, we won't watch your movie. Then when the movie fails and when the game fails, who's the first person they blame?
Yes.
That same group. So, perfect example, Star Wars Acolyte. The actress who played Osha, she blames right-wingers for the show failing and all this stuff. So in my head, I made a post saying right-wingers must have all this power in the world because they can make or break a movie. Now, if me being a man who has his own little side business, I would just probably if this is true about right wingers, I'm just gonna go after right wingers because
I can tell you a story. I don't want to get too political, but I know someone was telling me a story of someone who was selling outside of like a rally, basically, and they were like, "Hey, are you like into this?" And they were like, "No, I'm just here to make money." So that's the whole point, pretty much, is in all of this is that a lot of the people that are selling and making money from any of these like political sides,
yes,
are just there for the money. They don't care about your cause. And so the people who actually care about the causes on either side are just getting played, which is why I just don't play the game at all. It doesn't affect my enjoyment of things, you know?
It's just going back to that, it's just not, they're not going to buy it.
And it's like manipulation tactic. It's like going in and gaslighting them. If you make a show and you're like, this is for this group, if you're not part of this group, maybe you won't like it, but we'd love for you to give it a chance. I think that's an honest way that nobody's going to get mad about it except the really, really extreme side.
Exactly. But then you got these game companies game journalists. I'm using journalists in freaking quotation because these people aren't fucking journalists. They say they make these hit pieces like, oh, game failed because far radical right or misogynist. It's like you just constantly just blaming them, and then when your game studio gets shut down, or your game journalism gets shut down, it's like, oh, they're to blame for this.
For like transparency, I do a bit of like freelance gaming journalism. I don't do news. I just talk about the features of games because that's all I care about.
As you should.
But like, I don't think that that's a conversation that even needs to be had. You know, like, oh, we think that this game failed because we're going to blame this group. That's just, it doesn't make any sense. It failed. Like at the end of the day, if somebody likes a game, they will buy it. And if you market the game well and you say, hey, this is what our game has, and then you have that, you provide it, and people are happy, they spent their money because you marketed it properly. They said that's for me, and then they bought it and they got it. Everybody's happy. But they feel scammed if it's not what you've marketed, or they're upset if you try to push a bunch of games that they don't care about and then gaslight them into saying, hey, you have to buy this game or you're a piece of shit. Like that's
exactly.
And so while I think that there's a lot of people who are angry for all of the wrong reasons, and they'll like come at me for liking like Star Wars, for instance, and then they're like, but the DEI agenda and I don't buy these games because the woman's ugly. It's like, okay, relax, calm down. I understand that you're upset, but like, this is not, don't come at me for enjoying a game with a little dude and I'm just having a good time. Like, I get that you're upset, but like, take your politics away from me, dude. But if that affects you and you feel like, you know, not seen, then yeah, go ahead, vote with your wallet, make that a part of what you're doing. And eventually these things will fail. And that's what's happened with Concord. Like, we're seeing that happen in real time with Concord, Dustborn, all of this stuff. And nobody, like, or very small groups only want those games, and they put so much money into it, thinking that they're still playing both sides well and that they're going to make their money. And now it has finally failed.
And what you're seeing now is that these like influencers and game journalists are saying, oh, you know, it's wrong that we are celebrating the fail of Concord and all this stuff. And it's like, shut up, because if Hogwarts Legacy would have failed, that whole conversation you're having right now, saying like you should, the people are losing their jobs and stuff, like you guys didn't care about that when it came to Hogwarts Legacy. Mm-hmm. You guys didn't care about the developers or anybody. You cared about one person and what she stood for.
Yep.
That's all you cared about. You didn't care about the developers, the artists. You didn't care about none of those people behind the game.
And I fell fully into that, and I will never fall for any of that again on either side. I don't want anyone to tell me what. Yeah, I got tricked into it. Exactly. I don't want anyone to tell me what I'm playing or why. That's where I go. I don't care what message you're preaching at me. If the game is fun, I play it. Ethical consumerism, like, it doesn't exist. You can't. Like, you can try to do your best, but at the end of the day, make the decision for yourself. Don't have anyone else telling you what to do.
It's just like you guys are all preaching, play the game. I don't see any of the streams of you playing this game. And usually when a game is that big, like Concord, you usually see companies reach out to some of these big streamers and go, here's a copy of our game. We would love for you to share with your community to bring more people to it. Look at how Call of Duty is doing it. Call of Duty, every time there's a new one, they're like, let's get all these streamers out here and fucking play our game and show it off.
Yeah.
I think they even did it for when they came out with some of the new battle royale games. They always went to like Shroud, Ninja, Dr. Disrespect before he came out as a freaking creep. Even Pokimane, the big streamers, they say, here's our game. We'd love for you to stream it to your community. And they're signed whatever NDAs and stuff, whatever they have to sign, and just stream that game. Concord, you would think Sony is a fucking huge company. You spent $100 million for this game. Yep. You would think you'd put some money aside and say, we need to target XYZ people on these platforms to play our game. Let's send out copies so they could stream our game to get the ball rolling.
Did they not do that this time? Do we know that for a fact? I mean, I don't know, to be honest.
I haven't seen Ninja play. I haven't seen Shroud play.
Maybe they sent them a copy and they were like, no way, I'm not doing it. It's possible. It's possible.
If I'm getting paid to play this game, because those guys get paid money to play the game.
That's true. Yeah, if they're getting offered sponsorships and they really like, you know, a lot of these guys do want the money, even if they have a lot of money. So if they're turning that down, or they just didn't offer it, it could be one of the two. But
to a small streamer, say like, hey, we got some small content creators. You got a couple thousand.
You offer like offers. A ton of small streamers $50, and they'll do it.
Exactly. That's $50.
Yeah. I'll do it. You know what I mean? I'll play your game. So
it's the best game ever. Like,
I mean, I won't say it's the best game ever. I'm gonna be honest, but you can pay me $50 and I'll play your game.
Screw that.
I'll help pad the lobbies
real quick. I'll sell out real quick.
No, I'll sell. If somebody wants me to sell out, I'm gonna be open and honest and say, hey, I sold out here. Like, this is a sponsorship, all right, and this is a sponsored paid ad. But they paid me thousands. Yeah, I'll do that. But it's my rate is thousands for me selling out. All right. And I will be upfront and honest, and my audience will know, hey, she's sold out. And that has not happened. A free copy of a game does not have me sell out. I have had games that I've liked and that I've not really liked that I've gotten for free. And I'm very open and honest about that.
I think I don't get free games anymore because this one company sent me a early copy of this game, just like some weird Texas shooting game, and I just tore that shit apart on stream. I was like, this game is fucking terrible. Live, I was like, this is bad.
I think it's crazy that we have these lists of positive and negative features when the features might be different for a different person.
I just find it funny, like now with that game and Ubisoft. I've seen a lot of videos with some of the glitches where the faces come off and like she does the Jerry Maguire slide that she's choking somebody out and stuff. So I get it. Ubisoft game's gonna have the glitches. Every game has
glitches. I mean, I was playing Tomb Raider and I got stuck at one point and had to change the settings in one of the older games in order to get through. Like, every game has glitches. It just is, you know.
Don't blame the devs. When it comes to something like the devs are just building the product and putting the world together for you in art, and then there's somebody else at the top saying, let's do this. So like with DEI, it's not the devs are just doing their job. It's somebody at the top controlling them saying, put this in here.
It's the timeline's fault. And I know from working in corporate finance, like, it was just constant. Like, the thing I hate most about working for any corporation is it's like, you have to get it done, even if it like doesn't matter. Like, even if that's not going to affect anything, it's that just like bullshit of, you got to get it done now because I said so, because I want it now. And they might not even use it for multiple days. They just want to have it when they want to have it, you know? And it's just this like really toxic culture in a lot of these places. And so you're right. It's not the devs. They're just doing their job. They're just working hard. So I think that like it's these tight corporate deadlines because it's all about money for them.
Well, coming from somebody who deals with like deadlines and stuff, and like my field, it's, you know, you have a person that's giving you the money. Like somebody, there's another company giving you money saying like, here's the money, can you reach this deadline? Let me go back. I need you to give me a product. I'm paying you for this product. How long is this product going to take for you? If you tell me I could do it done in this time, you sold it to me at that time, I'm expecting it to be done at that time. If there's holdups, I'm going to give you like at least X amount of time window. But you promised me it's going to take 4 months.
I think part of the problem there too, and I am bad at time anyway, but like in general, I think that like we can't control time, you know, things happen. And I think we have too high of expectations when it comes to deadlines often. And so people will rush things out in every single industry across the board, everywhere. And I think we need to like get out of this mindset of it needs to be done now versus like, well, it can be done better in a month. Can you wait? But it's because people just want to make more money. And it doesn't actually help anyone. The only person it helps is the very tippy top who, you know, skims off all their money.
Is it in the budget at the end of the day? If I gave you a budget of, if you told me it's going to cost me $5,000 to build this product, right? And I have collateral for like additional 5,000 for the collateral, like time constraints, like human error. There's going to be the human element, the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get sick. You're going to lose something. Something's going to happen. Something's going to crash.
Well, and things just break. Things just do, as we know,
break, right?
You know.
But that's where it goes into time, human error, collateral, and because of the breaks, right?
Yep.
But again, I'm fronting up $10,000, and that's why like a lot of companies now are starting to go into AI, because you know why? It eliminating the human element.
Yeah.
At that point, it's because what's one thing we have as humans? We get tired. We need sleep. We need breaks. We need food. We need vacation. We need all this stuff, right?
Yep.
AI doesn't need that.
Yeah. Yep.
It doesn't need it. So that's why a lot of companies like deal with the human element, and the human element always wants more.
Yeah.
Look at the strike we're having now.
Yep.
They want more money.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You want more money, and then we're getting bad actors, bad writing, bad stuff from you.
Yep.
Like, why am I paying you more money for you to be like, just give me this bad product, right? Mm-hmm. That's why we have to pay more on Hulu, Netflix, and all these streaming services, because how are these actors going to get that more money?
Technical issues and bugs aren't what make me not like a game, personally. Like, for instance, Cyberpunk, I hate. It wasn't because of the bugs.
Why did you hate it?
I grinded for this red katana for like at least a couple hours, and I was just having a good time. Thought it would be fun to use it, and then I get back into the main game, which is where I like to play most of the time. I'm not as huge of an exploration player, and I couldn't use it for 3 or 4 at least main missions. And then they changed the whole game, and the agency of the player no longer matched being in an open world setting where you'd want to engage with anything, because there was like a tight timeline. And so I was like, nothing in this game makes sense. I can't use anything that I want to use, and the story doesn't make sense with me exploring anymore. So I don't like it. I'm not having a good time. And so a bug like closed the game, and I was like, you know what? It's not because of the bug, but the bug just instigated me to be done. Listen.
That was your last straw.
It was my last straw, but it wasn't the reason I hate the game. You know what I mean? And I also hated how they marketed things, because it felt like they were suggesting there'd be some sort of like dialogue and reputation system that was related to the 3 things that you pick at the beginning. There were like very few dialogue options, and they didn't actually change the game in any meaningful way. It was kind of like RDR2, where it's that superficial level of like, well, it changed the dialogue, but like your gameplay isn't affected. So it's just like, it wasn't for me. You know, I was not the audience. And I don't like when things are marketed incorrectly and basically scamming you, because then it's like, well, but that also still doesn't have to do with the game itself, right? Being scammed about the game and being lied to about the game is still different than if the game is good. And so I didn't like being scammed. I didn't like the bugs, but more than anything, I didn't like the game, you know? Yeah, and so it's all these different things, right? And the politics too of what people are talking about, different from, is the game good?
That is another thing that's a big issue with me when a game oversells things. Like, you look at all these features, you could do this, you could do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, F, you could do all this stuff, and it's like, oh my god, this game's gonna be great. Then when the game comes out, it's like, all those features that we talked about, not in the game. Why? Because of time and money and this. Like, so don't show me something I can't have. I hate that. Don't sell me on something that, like, I could do all this cool shit, and then when I get the product, I can't do none of this cool shit. I hate games that in trailers, they show all this wild stuff you're doing, and it's like, they go, in gameplay, you could do this, you could do that, blah, blah. Then when the game comes out, it's like fucking, you can't do half that cool shit. It's like, it's not even in the game.
Yep.
So
Concord.
That's why
right?
Concord, I feel so bad, because like we didn't spend like an hour and a half beating this game up. It was just like pointing out that like the game promised, and the game didn't.
I don't even know that it promised.
Succeed.
Like, it didn't really give you anything. I don't think they had
We
anything
use
unique.
Concord. we'll use what game did that? What game sold you on something and didn't provide?
That would be Cyberpunk for me.
Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 said it was going to be a PvE thing. They said it was going to have a whole single player story. And everybody was like, yes, fuck yes, I'm in. And then they came out and said, yeah, we're not doing that.
Huh. Yeah.
At the end of the day, people, you got to, the only way these companies are going to listen to you with your concerns is when you do not buy their games. Now, is it going to affect the people who work for the company? Yes. Okay. You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. I'm sorry. And the only way you can hurt these companies and stop them from making and put out dog shit is you saying, no, I'm not buying this, and affect their pockets. If you look right now, this seems like the Western market is starting to go towards more of the Asian games. Like you got Stellar Blade, did a phenomenal job. It got all this slack because it was like, oh, it had the sexy women in it. Sexy women bad. No sexy women.
I actually made a joke about it. I was like, wow, oh, okay. We're fighting DEI with Asian culture now. Didn't expect that one.
Yeah, fucking.
And for the record, I am like a third Asian, guys. So don't listen. We're part of a lot of the groups we're talking about. We're not trying to, but like, listen. It's just wouldn't have ever expected that in a million years.
Listen, 2024 is wild, bro. 2024 is wild. Great game, great gameplay, good story. Black Myth Wukong got controversy.
Yep.
Fucking Chinese game, Chinese development, Chinese story. Great combat, great fucking story. A story that's been modified for Journey of the West. Characters. Can I relate to a monkey with a stick? No, but it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Then you got another game coming out. It's called. They have this other game coming. I think it's called Phantom something. I forgot what it's called, but the gameplay mechanics looks ridiculous. Like you parry and shit. So remember Anthem?
Anthem. No.
You know, remember Anthem? Anthem. Oh my god, Anthem was the best game that failed. And when I say it was the best game that failed, is because the mechanics fucking phenomenal. The traversal, you literally were Iron Man.
Okay.
You felt like Iron Man. The combat got super repetitive. They said it was supposed to be like a Destiny killer. I don't know why the game failed. I feel like it wasn't enough like to do in it or something. But it was, you could upgrade your armor set. You could change the different classes. It was like Destiny meets Iron Man.
Interesting.
Really good game.
Was it solo or multiplayer?
It was multiplayer. And you could do solo also.
It's weird that failed. And same with like, yeah, you would think that would work. And I saw some interesting traversal in the Suicide Squad game too. And so I was wondering why people were so mad about that game, because it seemed like there were some unique elements, you know, for people to look at who like that genre.
The story was kind of bad. And then it was very preachy
and
stuff. They changed a lot of main characters, like, because it's supposed to be tied to the Arkham universe. And I played all the Arkham games. I played every Arkham game. I fucking love them. And then to do what you did with these characters and completely 180 them, it was kind of like, why? Like, there's a scene in the game where I don't know. Do you know much about Green Lanterns?
No.
Okay, so in the Green Lanterns, like if you're a Green Lantern and you die, the ring will choose another lantern based on its will. It has to choose you, right? Okay. There's a scene where they kill the Green Lantern and Killer Shark picks up the ring and he puts the ring on and kind of becomes a Green Lantern. Okay. Which doesn't make sense. The ring has to choose you. Going back to Traversal, when you start dipping your toe into the Soulsborne games, Armored Core 6.
Armored Core 6. Let me write her down. Put her on the list.
Armored Core 6. The Traversal on that, you're a giant mech. So, and you could switch the parts of a mech, and you're gonna be. How do you feel about air combat?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Is like unique stuff, and that's what I think is missing in these games. Like Concord doesn't. I mean, Dustborn does have some unique stuff. I just think nobody really like the majority doesn't want it. But like Concord doesn't have anything unique. Like give Dustborn its credit where it's due. It's unique.
Yeah, it's very
you know
unique.
What I mean? Like, and it does have an interesting art style.
If you look at that game, Deadlock, I played Deadlock. Deadlock is a MOBA game. I don't know if you ever played a MOBA, like League of Legends, a Smite.
I haven't really, to be honest. I'm actually a fraud. This is a League of Legends share. I just liked the red.
League of Legends. I actually know it's a League of Legends share. I think it's. I forgot the champion.
Aria, I think.
Oh my God! It's a mid laner. It's the It's a typical e-girl champion. That's
Oh,
what she is.
perfect. Yeah. So I'm just promoting that I'm an e-girl. I just like the red. That's me in a nutshell, versus like other people who take stuff very seriously. Is it a fun looking chair? Do I care that it's League of Legends? No, I just like how it looks.
So in the Concord, you got me saying Concord. So in Deadlock, it's a mobile game. What separates it from other mobile games is how you get back to your lane. In most games, to get back to your lane, it's you walk in, or they have like a teleport system or something, kind of like a quick teleport to get like not directly to it, kind of just like a little bit faster to like a little point. In this game, it's there's like a grappling hook that you like ride like a rail system.
I love that.
You hook onto that, and you could shoot enemies while you're on it. Now, let's say we're going against each other in a lane, right? When I kill your minions, because I'm on a blue/green team, I see a green soul. If I shoot that soul, I get it quicker. The soul is gonna pop no matter what to me to get the points. If I shoot, I get it quicker. But at the same time, you will see the soul too in a different color. If you shoot it before I do or before it pops, you deny me the XP and gold. So is that different from every other freaking game when it comes to MOBAs? Yes, that's very different.
That's what you want. It's the unique elements, right?
It's unique,
features.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the character, it's all
and unique features that people want specifically, because
I don't want it because
right. But like as long as some people want it, right? It's like unique, kind of like the Splitgate looks neat, but it's not for me. Concord, all these things, like why do they fail? It's because people are looking for specific things in games, but they're trying to mass market things that people don't necessarily want. The same thing happened with the third era of Tomb Raider for me. I liked so much about it, but it also ruined what could have been Tomb Raider's legacy. Like, I really enjoy those games, but it took away from what they'd done in the earlier games with the difficulty level. The third era Tomb Raider has challenge still, but it's pretty easy in comparison. Like, you can kind of roll through those games without thinking much, unless you're going into some of the tombs and get the puzzles that are optional. Like, they kept pretty much all of the hard stuff that was even remotely hard, still easy compared to the others, as optional. And so, the player guidance was just heavy. And in a lot of the games we have today, the player guidance just holds your hand all the way through. And so gamers don't have what we used to have in some of these older games. And we could make more modern day games that appeal to fewer people, but appeal to specific people. And they just don't do it because they want to do mass market. And so everything has to be mass market. And if you don't buy their game, then they guilt you. And that's where people are upset.
Yeah, and that's what's being done right now with Concord. Concord and Dustborn is like, you're not buying this game because you're racist. You're not buying this game because you hate trans people. You hate gay people. It's like, no, I'm not buying this game because the game fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Or I'm not buying the game because the game is not for me.
And why would somebody switch over? They already have the game they like. They have the game they're comfortable with. They have the game they've leveled up, like you were saying with the saves, right? Like, you like your save. You like what you have. You like the stuff you've done in that game and unlocked. Why would you go to a new game when you have a game you like? It has to have something really innovative to grab that audience. And just because they're not competing well and innovating well doesn't make people racist. That's crazy.
But that's it. It's one of those words that kind of like put people in the corner, like, oh, I gotta show I'm not racist, so I'm gonna buy this game. You can't just keep going and attacking people and then, like you said, gaslight people to like something or buy something when it's not for them. It's not for me. Again, what happened to this game isn't for you, so don't play it. I am a consumer. I can choose to buy and play what I want. If I like only Call of Duty, I'm going to play Call of Duty over and over. I stopped playing Call of Duty at Advanced Warfare. Why? It got repetitive. I grew out of it. I like games now that are kind of difficult and challenging.
Honestly, can I say that Advanced Warfare was my Call of Duty, and probably people will hate me for that, but I love it. I love the flying around.
This is going to be the first and last time we ever speak. What do you think is going to happen in the next coming years in gaming? Like,
I think that what people want to see is like a big game studio crash, and a lot of people want Ubisoft to be that. I don't think Ubisoft's going to be that. These people are angry.
Ubisoft would never crash.
Yeah, they're fine.
Ubisoft
like, the thing is, people like target Ubisoft and they're like, oh, they're failing. Bro, tens of millions of people buy every single game they put out. I don't know, people will use like Far Cry and The Division as like failure examples in a video when talking about Outlaws, those each sold like over 10 million copies. That's what a successful game like baseline is. So I don't know what to tell you, man. Like the games are doing fine. There's people that aren't part of like the online discourse that are still buying the games. They don't care what you're saying. They're just playing what sounds fun to them. And, you know, like heavy marketing does get those people. And so the AAA games get sold because they do the heavy marketing. People know the game exists and they buy the game. Like, it's not necessarily that it's the best game for sure, because there are some really cool indie titles that don't have that marketing. And we've seen a really good example is Stardew, which was made by one guy and sold, I'm trying to remember how many copies it was now. 30? Was it 30 million?
Yeah,
and people will be like, oh, but it's a cheaper game. I'm like, who cares? It sold 30 million copies without any marketing.
Helldivers is a cheap game, and that shit sold a whole bunch of copies. It was a success that the guys were like, holy shit, we didn't expect this. But what did Helldivers give players? Basics.
Yeah.
They gave you basic core mechanics. Go to the planet, shoot bugs, shoot robots, extract.
And that
Simple,
honestly
easy.
sounds boring as hell to me. You know, like it doesn't sound fun to me.
Fun.
But it's fun to a lot of people, you know?
Have you played it?
I haven't. I watched a little bit.
I think you should try it with friends. That's what
I'm not a big multiplayer gamer though. You know, I want some more local gameplay to like play with people, but I don't particularly like, I just like playing solo games most of the time, to be honest.
Okay, listen, to each their own.
Yeah.
I like sometimes playing games with friends, and I like playing games that's gonna get me upset and be toxic at times. Don't
like when I want to play online, I guess I just go to the defaults. You know, I go to Call of Duty, Fortnite, call it a day. You know.
Why? Those are like
it's just easy to pick up, honestly. Those are easy games. You know, it's like I don't have to grind at the game to get good. I don't have to think about it. It's like I can just get on, talk with friends while I'm like shooting some stuff. You know, that's it. Like I don't, if I want to strategize and do stuff, I want to do it on my own most of the time, you know. But that could change. Like there's some survival games that kind of have me thinking like that could be fun, like playing 7 Days to Die with friends or something. Like I see some unique stuff going on in that space. And I met some of the people that work on that game at one of the Twitch cons that I went to, or the only Twitch con I went to. And I was like, this seems kind of cool. So like I could see the reason people play it. It just isn't like, you know, I'm looking at like Soulsborns for next year, right? And I'm looking at like, I have this huge list of games that I want to get through. I want to do maybe all of the Resident Evils. Like I just have like so many games on my radar. It's why I'm like not mad when a game comes out that I don't care about, like Concord. It's like, okay, well it failed, but like somebody liked it, they gave it their shot and it didn't work. Here's why it didn't work. Who cares? You know, like at the end of the day, is it affecting me? No. When I do some multiplayer, I do like cozy too. You know, I do like Animal Crossing.
Is Animal Crossing?
You can bring people to your island and give them a tour.
That's just though.
And I know a lot of people will find that crazy boring, but you know, we have a good time. Like it's just like friends in chat coming in like, hey, come look at my island. Let's have a good time. Or they'll like show off. I actually did it with other people for the longest time where they would give me their codes and I would go tour their island and just show it off on stream and like say nice things. Like I just see the same thing as like you can do for any game. You can just look at what's good and say, hey, this is cool. Like, I like what you did here. You just presented me your art, and I am appreciating your art, and I see the work you put into it, and I see the vision, and I see what excited you about this, and, like, just acknowledging, like, art is cool, and, like, we're just expressing ourselves, and, yeah, that was something I did in Animal Crossing, and it was, like, this shared experience, and so it's not, oh, we're shooting stuff together, or, you know, against each other, or whatever. It's just, hey, I made this thing. Come look.
I think I have this a pea brain, or a caveman brain. Because I need action now. Because I played Valheim with some people and I was like, is this all we doing, building and cutting down trees? And they're like, for now. I was like, I want to go fight stuff. They're like, stop fighting things. And I'm like, but I want kill. No,
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, we all have different preferences, right? And then like with Stardew, for instance, I played with people, but I don't think I played with people very well. Like, honestly, like I played with like my best friend and she was like, I hate this. I mean, I love you, but I hate this. You're being like, you don't want to give me any money. And I was like, yeah, because I want to make money,
you
dude.
Give me money.
Yeah. I was like, nobody gets to spend anything. Stop. We're investing. Like, stop spending money on decor. So yeah, it was like this whole, and so it's a running joke that like I hate decor. And so I was like, I should have just played it by myself. Not that I don't like playing with my friends. I love my friends, but the way that I play games, it fits solo play because I like running experiments and like other people want to have fun.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the type of way like I said, I like battle. I need to fight. I literally would go to people and type in the chat and be like, I want to taste defeat. and I will run out and find a troll and try to fight and just get clapped.
Hey,
and
fair.
Now we gotta go get your butt, help you get your butt. I was like, but like I get you trying to build. I get this is your cozy time and stuff, but it's like I was like, okay, Minecraft. I heard so much about you could do all this cool stuff. What are you doing? They was like, you're cutting down trees. I'm like, and then you're cutting down more trees. And then what's after that? You're cutting down trees. I spent 2 hours cutting down trees.
No.
I was like, I don't want to cut down trees. What else is to do? You could go help him in the mines. I'm like, okay. So I go in the mines. He's like, this is how the mines are being built. You got to cut boxes out this. So I'm like,
and
what
Stardew
is
has a
this?
lot of that gameplay, but it does a fun reward system for it, right? And you've got to reward it well, but it just depends on your preferences still. Stardew is not for everyone, right? And so like I can like anything from cozy to boss battle games because I like breaking down what the game is doing, what it's communicating, and if the features are rewarding me for the things that I enjoy being rewarded for, and getting to use my brain if I'm solving a puzzle. So for instance, in Stardew, I'm solving the puzzle of like, what are the best investments, right? Like my brain loves that because I'm insane. And then the same thing with boss battles. I'm like, yeah. And so like with boss battles, it's like, okay, what's the minimum that I can use to do this? What is the boss actually doing that I can learn? Like I like the learning portion. I like truly getting good and learning about the game and what's being communicated, whereas other people just want different things, you know? And so I can like any genre if it's feeding me that, you know?
So I got some questions for you because I'm interested in knowing. So what's your cozy game and what's your your brain shut off game?
Cozy is Animal Crossing forever. Like if I feel like I just want to do cozy, I'll go I'll pick something and I'll be like, I'm going to decorate this as like a little campsite with like little blankets for picnics and what's it called, like telescopes you can look at the stars, and then just like make that and then like take some cool pictures and like just kind of put on some nice music and plan it out and decorate while people are watching it. Like that I remember that stream fondly. That was fun. For turn my brain off, that's like Call of Duty Fortnite, which is why I don't want anything too complex. I just want something I can pick up, play with friends, and just like kind of shoot some stuff while chatting and listening to music and like not really think too deeply about it. Maybe we get a couple wins, cool, all right. That's a turn a brain off game, and so it's why I don't really play as much like complex multiplayer, because I go for that specific goal, you know. Yeah.
What's yours? I had a cozy game, and this is when I was a wee laddie. It was a Viva Pinata.
I've never heard of this.
You never heard of Viva? It was so great, and it's gonna sound. Listen, I'm a pretty much manly man.
Yeah,
it was so cute. It was so cute because you get
listen,
to, like,
manly men love cute. Some of the manliest men I've ever met like love cats. You know, they're like, dude, that cat's cute. You know.
So like in Viva Pinata, like you make this little farm and stuff, and like these little pinatas come visit, and like you take care of them. You got they can mate and stuff, and like if you grow certain items and crop, like this pinata will come, and they had the villains that come and break your pinatas.
What?
So it was like,
that sounds so cute.
This guy will walk on and you gotta like shoo him away or something, and if you don't in time, he breaks your pinata.
Oh my god.
He like punches it and breaks it. So that was my
make a kid cry.
That was my cozy game growing up, because I was like so invested into it. I was like, I gotta get this pinata.
Yeah.
And then like my brain shut off games at any game, like the game First Descent is a pretty much shut off brain for me, because it's like, go there and shoot, and I'm like, go there, shoot. Yeah,
you know how you're talking about the younger. I liked like Diddy Kong Racing. That was a big one for me.
I'd never played Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, liked it. I liked the Nintendo shit.
I played Mario Kart. I played Sonic. I played Crash Bandicoot Racing. I played a lot of the stuff, but like,
yeah,
never Diddy Kong.
No, it's a good one.
I love Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong's one of my favorite characters, because I feel like Donkey Kong represents the working man.
Yeah.
Because, you know, his whole story, he wears a tie and they steal his bananas.
Yeah. You know, that's fair. And that's kind of what we're looking for in games too, is it doesn't have to be somebody who looks like us, like you were saying from the very beginning, to like go all the way back. You know, we're sometimes just looking for people we relate to. And some of the characters I related most to, shocking, a white man. Imagine that. It happens sometimes. How fucking dare.
How dare
like,
you?
In Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, that character I relate to on like a spiritual level. his whole journey is like he wants money, he wants fame, he wants to be like the pirate people look up to. Like that's what I wanted in my early 20s. I wanted to like make it, you know. And then I realized money wasn't everything, and it actually kind of sucks, and it creates a lot of problems. And of course you need a certain layer in order to be comfortable and like live and exist in the world. But like past that doesn't matter. And so the pursuit of it definitely isn't fun, you know. And so there's a lot more to life, and that's like what he realized, and that was his journey. And so I related to his journey on a spiritual level because he realized how much more there is to life, other people, you know, other causes, other things that you can care about in life. And so a white man I related to on a spiritual level. Imagine that. Canceled.
How dare you? No more shows for you. Cancel her. Get it out of here.
Canceled. Oh man. All right. Do we want to wrap? Do we have final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I got to say. I mean, hopefully gaming goes back to what it used to be, the core elements, and stop preaching, and just make games and tell stories. And if the character happens to be gay, the character is gay. If the character is black, the character is black. Just make characters who are fucking cool.
Yeah.
And just don't sit there and bitch and complain and just like, I don't know. Let these people who want representation in the games make their own games for their people and they're smart indie companies. Don't let these big companies do it and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars just to fucking flop.
Yeah.
And then you fire all these developers because the game failed. Like, well, it's not their fault the game failed. It's your fucking fault because you wanted to appease the masses. And when we come to find out the masses aren't always right.
You know, you said gaming should get back to gaming, but for me, I'm not one of those who thinks that modern games suck. I have a lot of fun in a lot of modern games and a lot of old games. I think that, you know, just buy what you want, play what you want, and stop worrying about the rest of it if you really want to have a good time. You know, just ignore it, tune it out. Your wallet will speak for itself in the end. So, like, just you don't have to focus on it. You don't have to listen to anyone. Stop listening to every big YouTuber out there that is shoving stuff down your throat because they're as culty as the games, man. Just play, have fun. Thanks for talking with me, Dayla. This has been very fun. I think we were overdue for this conversation because we've been talking about collabing of some sort for a long time. And so when you suggested this, I think this is the perfect topic. I think there's a lot going on. I appreciate you talking with me. Again, I'm Mad Curious. This is Dayla Croy, and we both stream on Twitch and are all over social media.
Live? Wait.